It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
Welcome to July. This is Car Con Carne, sponsored by my friends at Easy Automation, easy-automation.net. Transform your living space with cutting-edge home automation. Experience seamless control over audio, video, lighting, climate, security, and more. Embrace the future of smart living. It's your home, your rules. Get a quote, a hassle-free, no strings, find out what it's all about quote by visiting easy-automation.net or give my guy Dan a call. Dan can be reached directly. This is his personal cell phone. I'm giving it out on Car Con Carne, 630-730-3728, 630-730-3728. I also want to mention, before we begin, Stephanie Sack, who is a returning guest. She's a returning favorite on Car Con Carne. She's also a cinephile. She's also a curator of film. She's hosting an amazing double feature at Facets Multimedia, Facets at 1517 West Fullerton, a double feature of modern horror classics X and Pearl as we build up to the new MaXXXine movie. Double feature of X and Pearl, July 5th in the daytime, noon until 5. It's the day after the 4th of July. You're not working. What a cool thing to do. $22 gets you both movies. Facets, such a cool, comfortable place to see movies and also cheap eats and drinks there. So that's that X and Pearl double feature. I'm James Van Alstyne. I am back in Tinley Park. I am back at Flipside Brewing for this, episode 972, and I'm joined by the owner of Flipside Brewing. He is Erik Pizer, returning guest.
Hello, hello. For better or worse, that's me.
For better, I think. It's been a year-ish since last we spoke, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you back on, you're about to celebrate you are celebrating this month your second anniversary.
Yeah, the end of the month, the 27th, is our big birthday party.
It is no secret that it's a challenging time for the service industry. Indeed. It's a challenging time for breweries. Where does year two find you?
Grasping for air and trying to just have a good time along the way. It's
beer is fun.
Yeah, beer's fun. Every day is fun, even during the challenges. It's been good. It's just always a lot of work. Always trying to keep up with the next thing and trying to make sure that everything's firing on all cylinders. You know, everyone's fighting with staffing problems. Mm-hmm. Costs are going up. People are spending less money, but man, when they come out, they have a good time. So that's the part that makes it easily worth doing every day.
7144 West 183rd in Tinley Park. If you're heading to any outdoor shows at the Big Shed in Tinley, this is a very obvious stop along the way. Before you spend $20 a beer over at the venue, stop here. Pregame. This is a perfect place to pregame before the show. I'm sure people do it all the time.
Yeah, we get it all the time. We're right off 183rd in Harlem, right off I-80, so we're just north of the whatever it's called. I think we had the whole conversation last time, the Tweeter Center World.
Right, the large amphitheater down the street. Yeah,
but, come in, have a couple beers, have some food, take some beers with you. I don't care if you drink them in the parking lot over there. Smuggle them in, whatever it takes.
You've got these great beers to go, and we'll talk about the beers. We're recording this on a Tuesday night. Not traditionally a packed night for a brew pub. It's not even 7 o'clock. The place is packed. You're doing trivia here.
We do trivia once a month. I want to say it's the last Tuesday of the month, but it's the fourth Tuesday of the month. We've discovered that on some random 5-week months. Tonight we have Nintendo trivia, which is a new one for us. I think
there are people in Nintendo shirts. Like they're not messing around.
There's a lot of some interesting looking people in there. It should be a good time, though. But the Chicago Trivia Guys is the company we use to run trivia, and they go all over, all the other breweries in the area and a lot of other places I know are using them. They do a really great job. They like new questions every time, so you can go to the same theme at different places and not really worry about like, oh, I heard this one before, or someone's cheating or anything like that. It's just a lot of fun.
And I bring it up because as a craft brewery owner, event marketing is kind of baked into what you need to do.
Yeah. It's always like, there's 3 other restaurants in this strip. Why come visit me versus going to Al's Beef or something like that. So it's just trying to find something unique and making sure that there's something for everyone to come in and enjoy and have a good time doing. You know, it's the vibe and throwing out different events like this. You know, we do trivia on July 7th, the Sunday of 4th of July weekend. We're having our summer art bazaar.
I saw that. I saw the poster when I was in the bathroom. I saw a cupcake, very enticing looking cupcake on the poster.
I haven't looked at all the different vendors that are going to be there. John Streets and Mike Kozlacki, Kaz of Big Mike Soap, they organize it and curate all the different vendors and all that. And it's all the different ones that we've done with them so far have always been busy and full, and a lot of cool different vendors, artwork, and some cupcakes and different things like that. So it's always a good time. This next one will be Sunday the 7th from 11 to 5. So all day long there'll be it's like just grab a beer, grab a bite to eat, and walk around and
very family
do some
friendly
cool shopping. Yeah.
And this is something I'm sure I mentioned. I don't remember. It's been a couple hundred episodes, but when we last talked, I'm sure I mentioned the fact that this is a family friendly place to be.
Well, I mean, I've got kids and a family, and sometimes early on, especially, that was the only way I could see them is when they would come come and hang out with us. But it's all about just making a place that everyone can come to. Like, why does hanging out and having a good time have to only be for adults or only be for the kids? So, like, there's who doesn't love a cheeseburger? And sometimes mom and dad like a cocktail or a glass of wine.
Sometimes mom and dad need a cocktail
or a beer. Yeah. Most days.
Yeah, most days.
Most days they deserve it.
All right, so we brought food. Now, you've punched up the menu since last time I was here.
Yeah, we try and rotate it pretty regularly. We're trying to be seasonal, but again, like I said, staffing issues make big lifts for the kitchen a little difficult at times, but they are doing a great job in there. And yeah, we just last week dropped a new summer menu with a few new items on there. But the smash burgers are always going to be front and center. That's very much the Flipside way.
So I'm going to have a smash burger. That's it's a focal point of the menu. In fact, the July burger of the month is black and blue.
Black and blue burger.
Blackened with blue cheese. Oh my God, I went traditional.
Bacon too.
I mean, in for a penny.
Throw on some crispy onions and make it a whole deal.
Let's see what we got here. Let's bust open some food. I've got the camera at the ready.
All right, that one's for you.
This is me.
That's you.
Oh, and I got Brussels sprouts too.
You did. Oh, the fries Brussels sprouts. Those were a real favorite of everyone's last year, but as we were moving into winter time, the Brussels sprouts were just they weren't in season, so they just weren't coming in very good. So we had to just take them off the menu just to make sure everything was still good for everyone. And now we're back in season. We brought them back.
This burger smells amazing. Can I zoom in?
Oh yeah.
What do you have there? You got a chicken wrap?
I've got a cilantro lime chicken wrap. Usually we cut it in half, but because it's to go, it's a little like pocket burrito, and I'm
I love that.
Kind of ready for it.
And I've got these Brussels.
You're not going to be disappointed.
I know I'm not going to be disappointed. All right, this just looks and smells so good.
It's a perfect bite.
It is.
Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't love a good smash burger? And this is a good smash burger.
That'll do. Well, you got everything you want on there. It's just
there's nothing to overthink.
The cheese, pickles, and burger sauce, which is like mustard and mayo and little ketchup and pickle juice. It's a perfect blend of everything. And I think I said it before when you asked how long it was going to take. The best part about it, too, is smashing the burgers is the quickest and like the afterthought of the whole thing, because it takes longer to toast the bun and get everything like made up and ready for it than it does to smash and cook the burger.
And that's part of determining what the menu is all about too.
Oh, totally.
Right? Like, what can we do well but quickly? You don't have time to fuck around in that kitchen,
especially when there's the concerts or trivia stuff. That. At least trivia, they're not going anywhere.
People are clock watching. Let's go.
Well, people are ready to go to get to their show at the concerts. So we got to be quick. And the nice thing is, like, everything in the kitchen is built to be as quick as possible, and sometimes it's too fast because it comes out so fast that people are on they're 2 sips into their first beer. So we gotta slow down sometimes and just let people relax. And then another thing that happens all summer long that we got to be quick for is you see the sign over there. There's a trolley that runs through Tinley Park. It's a free trolley that anyone can hop on, hop off Wednesdays from 5 to 10 p.m.
The Ale Trail.
The Ale Trail, Tinley Park Ale Trail. So there's 4 breweries in town, And then there's a bottle shop, pour your own wine and whiskey bar, and then a nice craft beer focused restaurant. So that's all four corners of the circle. So they run 2 trolleys around. So every 20 or so minutes, you can hop on or off and go to the next spot. It's free. I've got
to think that's great for Tinley Park.
It's
Just
outstanding
from a community building.
It started last year. It was a great reception. It was great for business, which is also great. But it's just a really, really fun thing to do because you can visit all the different places or stay on. Oh, we'll skip this one. We'll get that next week, and just kind of keep going around and around and around. But all of a sudden, there's suddenly, drop 30 people off. And then 10 minutes later, the next trolley shows up, and another dozen get off and walk in. So it gets rocking pretty good.
Erik, I could have 3 of these burgers.
I know.
I mean, the beer is crushable. The burgers are crushable. Oh, my God. This is something. So, being in Tinley Park, are you a local? Was it important to be in this community?
So, I live in Palos Heights, which is about 7 miles straight north of here. My house is, anyway. So, the general area, but I have history with this location. I had opened a brewery here about a decade ago now, and left a while back. So, it was kind of neat to go through my career and do a few other stops, and then when this place was available and I was in a position to kind of make a move, it only made sense to kind of do this. So it's been great to see a lot of old regulars that have known me since the very beginning still come in. Like that couple that just walked by. Like they've been coming here since I was here at 350.
That's pretty cool.
Really neat. Yeah, Johnny, my bartender tonight, who's helping you. He started as
super nice dude,
super great guy. He started as a regular here.
All right, so let's talk about the beer. We're in the car, so obviously we're not drinking the beer. We can talk about the beer, though. What I like about this brewery, and I suppose it's not unique, but I like that you do this. You have a range of ABV beers. So depending on what your needs are, if you're just stopping over before driving somewhere else, you have a low ABV, like Haunted Pass is 3.8. Your lager, the Flipside lager, is 4.2, which is also. I'm going through my crushable beer era.
It's a good era.
It's a good era. Like, just right down the middle, there's the beers I'm drinking the most of right now. It's also summer.
It's also summer, which is the perfect time for drinking those beers, and drinking more than you probably normally would, because there's more daylight. There's more time to be doing other things, so it all makes sense like that. But I also have 12% Imperial Stout that's on tap right now. So, like we can get you if you need to.
And the people who drink that are serious about that.
Yeah. And then I have a barrel-aged version of that I'll be releasing around our anniversary.
Does that take longer to brew if you do it in the barrel, or is it the same timetable?
Well, no, both. It takes the same amount of time to brew the beer to start with, so the beer's finished and done and relatively complete.
I'm sorry if these are rookie questions.
They're just questions. That's how we all figured out. And
if I have these questions, someone else has these questions.
Yeah, for sure. So like the beer that's on tap right now is just the base beer. It's done. I got it cold and carbonated, and it's ready to drink. But I took some of that beer and put it into a barrel, and I'm going to leave it in there until sometime next year, sometime 9 to 24 months or so, depending on the barrel and the beer and how it's tasting as it ages.
What's the result?
It picks up more of the bourbon flavor and booze and oak and vanillas and all sorts of different flavors that you find in bourbon that you might not quite think of. And really all of it is, beer gets stale over time. It oxidizes. So if you take like Flipside Lager and let it sit out, or, set warm or something, it would kind of start to taste papery and not that good. But there's something about the dark malts and roasted malts and stuff in a stout that those chemical reactions of oxidation and all that, they taste good. It turns into like plum and raisin and like dark cherry and stuff like that. So it kind of it just turns into deeper, more complex flavors that are pleasant. So there's lots of different styles. A lot of them are regional or historical, or, depends on like where they came from. We were drinking my Bounce Check Pilsner. I
love that beer.
It was kind of, thanks. It was modeled after, Pilsner Urquell, which is Pilsen, Czech Republic, and it came about.
Sounds Czech, CZECH.
Yeah.
Naturally,
I like a good pun.
I like a good beer. I love a good pun.
Put them both together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't have impasta syndrome. My Italian Pilsner on right now, but yeah. But like that beer came about in Pilsen because of the very soft water. So they added hops in a certain way, and it was light. And in the area they were brewing lagers where they would store it cold for a long period of time. There's the story that's got some truth to it and some not about IPA being, a big hoppy beer that was shipped from England to India and it had to last in a boat, and that's how that turned out.
I've heard that.
They're all different. There's different reasons that each beer style kind of came to be as it was. Barley wine is typically just a big... Yeah, there you go. Get them.
For those who are just listening, I'm showing off the
smell
Brussels.
Them now.
You want to scoop some?
They're so good. No, I'm good. I'm a French fry guy.
Don't get me wrong. I love French fries too, but this way, I can say that I'm having vegetables, and that's important.
Mom would be proud.
Indeed. I've let her down so many other times.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's just a lot of different styles, and I try and do a wide range of them because that's the bottom line of everything is something for everyone. Like there's many different people, many different tastes.
The market tells you what to do, right?
Yeah, a lot. And I don't know if I'm smart or dumb, but I only listen to it a little bit. I kind of decided after, almost 10 years in the industry, a handful of stops along the way, I just kind of wanted to brew the beers that I thought people want to drink that they don't know that they want to drink. Rascal King is my English pub ale. I try and keep like the later lagers on. I think that a little bit more variety like that, rather than leaning heavy on we're all gonna just do hazy IPAs. I think I make a decent hazy IPA. I think I make better than some other IPAs I've had, and nowhere near as good as some other hazy IPAs I've had. So,
every brewery has an IPA.
Yeah. That's the part where the market is telling you what to have.
But my question is, what makes an IPA an IPA? What makes it so popular?
It just tastes good. Who doesn't love citrus and fruit and tropical fruit and pine and all those flavors together? To me, I just think it's an appealing flavor. When people come in and tell me they don't like hoppy beers, I try and convert them, but I don't care in so much as I just want someone to have a good time and have what they like.
Mm-hmm.
But like, why don't you like it? What don't you like about it? Oh, they don't like the bitterness. Okay, we can work through that.
Mm-hmm.
Like my last stop IPA is pretty bitter, but it's supposed to be. But like the Monochrome Dream, my hazy IPA, is far less bitter.
All right, what's a hazy?
Hazy is a relatively newer style that was thought was just going to be a fad.
And forgive me,
it is absolutely not a fad.
I'm giving you beer 101 questions because you make this stuff, and I know there are people who just see these things on a menu and they kind of know what it is, but they kind of don't.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is I think here at Flipside, we're definitely pretty open with talking about it and trying to teach and at least educate enough to make sure that you're getting a beer that you're going to like and want more of.
So you're talking about the hazy.
Mm-hmm. So hazy IPA, New England IPA is kind of where they started. And they're basically what they sound like. They're going to be lower in bitterness. They're not going to be clear because we had so many more hops than a normal. A double dry hopped would be another phrase that you would hear around that style. And really it's just adding more hops at different times of like the fermentation process, and it interacts with the yeast, and you kind of build the grain bill, the ingredients of the beer side of it a little bit differently, just to promote some of that haze, and it interacts, and these little polyphenols are all created, and it creates this haze, but it's usually a softer bitterness and juicier and like more tropical fruit, and just a little sweeter too than say like an American IPA or West Coast IPA. Think like Bell's Two Hearted, right? It's light, not a lot of body to it, just enough, but it's got a real firm bitterness and like an aggressive grapefruit kind of note to it that is refreshing and all that, but it's got a sharper bite to it because of the bitterness to it. Which
Now, I myself have a real firm bitterness. Am I an IPA?
you might be. Ask yourself, are you really bitter?
These Brussels are delicious. Now, I know this is perhaps not the healthiest preparation of Brussels because I enjoy them so much.
It's still a vegetable.
It's still a
That's
vegetable.
all that matters. But yeah, they're lightly fried and then tossed in like a maple vinaigrette glaze sort of a deal.
Yeah, you basically turn Brussels into candy, and I'm here for it.
Right?
This is the way to go.
I'm for it. They're really good.
I realize as I'm almost done with this that I've just been like going to town as you've been talking. Like I cannot get enough of these.
You left me hanging there, so I just went for it. You looked happy. I thought I'd fill the air. Dead air's not good. Right?
I'm at Flipside Brewing in Tinley Park. How could I not be happy? All right, so in talking about the beers, what have we missed? You mentioned Last Stop. What is a Belgian table beer?
So that's the style that feels a little bit more made up. Like there might be some historical significance to it somewhere along the way. My version of it is just really low ABV, light, dry, crisp, but really refreshing. It's kind of delicate. It's almost fancy beer, but it's also like just a beer that to have on the table and just drink.
Thinking of low ABV, we hear all the time, we read all the time. There's a whole generation that's all about NA. They're not drinking. I've got to think by the same token, there's probably a whole generation that is looking for low ABV stuff.
Guilty. Yeah. I mean, I look at ABV first when I look at a beer menu, and then I look at the style, and then kind of go from there. But I like to drink beer. I'm kind of have just one speed of drinking, and it's on. So the lower ABV, the better, because I'm going to have the same amount no matter what's in front of me. So I try and pace myself that way. But yeah, no, we do a decent amount of business I carry a few different non-alcoholic beers. Just brought in some. There's a new place in Naperville, Go Brewing, that is kind of lighting the world on fire in the non-alcoholic realm. So I'm happy to support another.
They've got
brewery.
billboards on 90.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
like billboards
right
with attitude.
Yeah, literally.
like kind of surprised by the attitude on their billboards.
They, I think they know what they're doing over there.
Yeah,
like the product's really good, the marketing's fantastic, and it just seems to be working. They found the right niche at the right time.
For sure. Okay,
I could only be so lucky.
What's a Kolsch?
Kolsch is one of my favorite styles of beer.
So Sunside is your 4.8.
Yep.
Kolsch.
It is. Kolsch is so like a lot of beers. So technically, it's a Kolsch style ale because a Kolsch can only be brewed at certain breweries in and around Cologne, Germany. So
it's like champagne.
It's like an appellation, yeah. It's like that. So anywhere else, you can call it a Kolsch style, but if it's not from there, it's not truly a Kolsch.
Okay, I get that.
But it's another just really kind of simple beer, like a lot of German beers are. Somehow they're very simple, but really complex in flavor and really delightful. A Kolsch is very similar to a lot of German lagers, where it's light and dry and crisp, but it's brewed with an ale yeast, but that's fermented. So ales are typically fermented warmer than lagers. Ales typically have a little bit more fruity esters and more flavor from the yeast character. Lagers are going to be a little crisper, nuttier maybe, and fermented cooler. So Kolsch is technically kind of like a hybrid. So it's an ale yeast fermented cooler. So there's a little bit of those fruity characters. It's more like a kind of like a pear, cherry, apple, like slight on the back end there. But otherwise, it's just like a really crisp, easy drinking, not quite lager. But it's just really refreshing and approachable, and I just think sun and summer and that.
I think I'm refreshing and approachable. Am I a Kolsch
You are a
style
Kolsch,
beer?
yes, sir. Yeah. You are a bitter Kolsch. Now we're getting into cold IPA territory. It's a whole other story. That's a different podcast.
But hearing you talk about what goes into the different techniques and the different flavors, I mean, brewing really is art and science.
Yeah, it is. I never really considered myself a very creative person, and then I realized, wow, I'm writing these recipes, different styles, and I got to name the beers, and then figure out someone to come up with artwork and devise all that and doing all the social media. So it is a lot of art because it's getting to know what's going to happen with the science, and if I do mash at this temperature and add this salt to the water and ferment at this temperature and all these different things, something different's going to happen. But it's also just kind of winging it and a little bit of a hope and a prayer sometimes as what's going to happen.
That sounds like a creative pursuit.
Yeah.
So Flipside Brewing is at 7144 West 183rd in Tinley. As mentioned, it's at the corner of 183rd and Harlem. As you celebrate your second anniversary this month, what's the high point for you?
Oh, man.
What's been the high point?
I wasn't ready for that.
Aren't you in retrospective mode?
No, I'm in
survival mode.
Mode. I actually have a little vacation trip planned for immediately after the
well earned.
The party. So all the stress of getting everything done and ready and prepping and doing all that is kind of what's taking the focus.
Yeah.
I guess the high point has just been really trying to settle in and really being embraced by the neighborhood and the community. The other 3 breweries in town are awesome. Some of the other businesses in town are great and just really supportive. The Open Bottle across the street, I've got Frogger Lager on tap right now. There's not a whole lot left, so it might not be on for long. But it's just like a lime lager. We to celebrate it, we froggered across the street. There's no crosswalk here, but I think it's 0.61 kilometers.
And now we know roughly how old you are because of the reference.
Frogger? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. But yeah, no. I think all of that, and then seeing old regulars from my previous pursuits that have followed me across my career, and making new regulars, and then just curating a really good staff. I'm really happy with everyone that works here. Everyone's really, really great, and I couldn't do without them. I do more than I should. And should delegate a little bit more because everyone I have is really, really capable and they do a great job.
You said something that's come up with me recently, and I think it's so true. You talked about how people who knew you from your previous time here, they kind of pop back into your life. That is the beauty of aging, I think, is you intersect with people at one point and then they pop back in, and maybe it's not for a long time, but it's fun to have them.
Just yesterday, I was standing behind the bar and I saw the silhouette of a man walking in. I was like, I think that looks like this guy that I haven't seen in ages, that I know left town and moved to Oklahoma. And he sat down at the bar, and I let him talk for a minute, and I said, "Are you Spencer?" "I sure am." And I was like, I haven't seen him in 8 years.
That's fantastic.
And he's just stopped in because he's followed me on social media across the time. And I got to see him and say hi, and I remembered him, and he remembered me. And if that doesn't make you feel good at the end of the day,
oh, yeah,
over a beer. I made a beer. It's fun. It's easy. It's just a beer. But man, is it cool, right?
It's the best.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Well, congratulations on 2 years. I know that success in this business is hard fought and won, and longevity is as well. But this all portends good things. I love the food. I love the beer. And I love the location. Like you said, it's right off 80. It's super easy to get to. What an easy destination to go to, and what a great place to, like I said, pregame if you're going to see a show in the area.
Yeah, and now right next to you there, we have a little patio outside. Yeah. We've got a huge parking lot, so parking is not a problem here ever.
Not a problem at all.
And then we've got a little patio, fit a few different people here, and just enjoy the weather sometimes if you don't want to come inside. And come hang out.
Well, I'm going to cheers you with water.
Cheers right back.
Which seems like the wrong thing to do with you, but we're in a car. Cheers. Flipside Brewing. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Thanks, Erik.
Thanks, James.